Oh, here we go. We're live. We're live! Alright! Woohoo! Everyone's like, and? Straight across, I think. Maybe? Is that better? There's nobody's there to let you know. Yeah.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming. Hey! Today, in 1992, the United Nations declared and proclaimed that December 3rd was henceforth designated and acclaimed as the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. To bring awareness and to enforce the rights of equality, well-being, and dignity for people with disabilities around the world. And to raise awareness about the situation of persons with disabilities in all areas of political, economic, social, and cultural life. Today we are gathering to honor and stand in our entitlement for equality on this day. Every year, the United Nations proposes a different theme and day that names people who have invisible disabilities. And we're here to say to those people whose disability may be invisible, but you are not. Also this morning, UNESCO announced their mission statement for this year and the coming year as it relates to persons with disabilities. Building back. A commitment to build a disability-inclusive, accessible, and sustainable world post-COVID-19. Yeah, I love it. Because too many of us have not had it pre-COVID-19. I also want to acknowledge and honor and hold space for all of the disability activism that has taken place in this province over the last.
If anyone who's watching it can hear me, can you hear the speakers?
We stand here today on the shoulders of giants. It's because of their work that we can do this work. And some of you may be aware of one of those luminaries, a woman named Joanne McDonald. We couldn't figure this today, but you see this online. Hi, Joanne. But she sent me a message that she told me that she began her research in 1965.
Okay, says you can barely hear it, so I'm going to move it.
For accessible public services throughout the province began 65 years ago, and we're still not there. and end by saying,
But yeah, maybe moving that over.
we're here to fix that thing that's broken
Okay,
and to
moving.
make it whole.
Yes.
I also want to share with you a message that I received from Deputy Mayor Sheila O'Leary, who had a commitment with one of her children. She hopes to be here by the tail end of this event. But she said that she so appreciates and supports the advocacy that all of us are doing to help create change and inclusion in this city. And she signed off with one word in capital letters: respect.
Yes.
Thank you, Sheila. And thank you to Councillor Stroud and Councillor Burton, who time and time again consistently have voted in our favor on matters relating to our built environment and accessibility and disability inclusion in St. John's. We see you and we appreciate you and we thank you for your support. So we're here today with 3 asks of City Hall. Because we're not done until it's done, people. The first is that we are asking our council to sit down with that budget and address and reverse their decision to not improve snow clearing of sidewalks this winter. We want accessible, snow-free, ice-free sidewalks. Accessibility is not a privilege, it's our right. Our second ask is that they sit down with that Metro bus plan and find a way to make public transit accessible to everybody in this city to the extent that people need it to go to work, to fulfill the activities of their day-to-day lives with safety and ease, both getting to the bus, waiting for the bus, and on the bus. We are asking them to find a way to rescind that slash in that budget. And our third request is that from this day forward, every single public space in this city, whether it be a commercial space, a recreational space, an athletic space, every single public space be designed according to the principles of universal design, and that those spaces be accessible to all.
Yes.
We ask them to acknowledge, as we do, the disconnect between their stated intentions of inclusion and the actual reality of our lives. That disconnect has to be bridged. It is unacceptable. We have evolved far beyond that. We have a right to full engagement in every aspect of society, be it economic, be it political, be it social, or be it cultural. We've been asking nicely, as Joanne has said, for close to 60 years. It hasn't worked. And I think that maybe some heads are turning, that for the first time in this province, we are seeing people who have disabilities come to City Hall in protest. In protest. So, I also want to draw attention to something that Grant Genova shared with us last night at our Green Drinks event at Bannerman Brewery. Grant is an architect who specializes in universal design, and he began his career as a college student in the United States. And he told us about the origin of the disability rights movement. The disability rights movement grew out of the civil rights movement of the 1960s in the United States, which I find incredibly interesting because as I talked about in a Facebook Live for Accessible NL this summer, I was beginning to see how Black Lives Matter and I Don't Know More are showing the way to other minorities about the value of protest and staying with it until it's done. How they have shown us how institutional and systemic discrimination works. So we thank you. We thank our Indigenous people and our people of color and our Black people and our LGBTQ2S+ people for standing with us as we stand with you and helping to show us the way. Because people have been saying all through this pandemic, we're all in the same boat. Well, no, we're not. We've all been in different boats. But we minorities are forming a flotilla and we are rising. I'd like to introduce to you somebody who's been so instrumental in this mobility justice movement. Elizabeth Yeoman, where are you? We're going to sanitize this megaphone and hand it to you.
There is a Sam.
Yeah, Leo's gonna do it.
Oh, someone's coming.
I'm gonna try not to be so much in the way. Cheryl. So many people, Cheryl. Sorry if it gets a bit bumpy.
Yeah, I guess it's working. I was asked to say a few words about my colleague John Shirokov, who died last winter. John was hit by a car while walking to the bus stop on the street because the sidewalk wasn't clear. St. John's spends a lot less per kilometer on sidewalk snow clearing than many other cities, despite getting much more snow. John's twin sister, Patty Gent, wanted us to remember John as a person who contributed greatly but lived simply. She described his many accomplishments, but concluded John was a humble person who helped so many others. Munn and St. John's were his home, and they were the family he cared so much about. She told us that he walked everywhere. Patty described her experience here after John's death. Having had the experience of being in St. John's for weeks, getting around by foot and trying to push a stroller around was impossible, and when we did try, it was terrifying. Roads with extremely fast drivers were our only choice. She also sent a message to all of us. Please keep the pressure on in order to achieve a real and effective plan for pedestrian safety. You are doing amazing work. I think my brother is watching over this process too. He would be pleased at the hard work that is being done. People are living in danger and isolation every winter. Children, seniors, people who can't afford a car or a second car, people with disabilities. They have the legal right under the Constitution to security, to mobility, and to equal treatment under the law. To refuse this is discrimination. To clear streets at the expense of sidewalks is discrimination. To make transit inadequate is discrimination. To design environments in public places that can't be used by all is discrimination. We can't accept this, and we won't. And I was asked also to begin a minute of silence in memory of John and also of everyone who has suffered and been injured or killed by the lack of these basic rights. So we'll just start a minute of silence. Thank you. I'm not sure who the next speaker is. Karen? Karen.
Welcome to Karen. Hi, my name is Karen Berglander. My pronouns are she and they, and I am a graduate student at MUN. And I don't really want to talk about my mobility issues because, well, this is my first winter relying 90% of the time on a mobility aid. This is not my first winter being terrified for getting to my bus stop. This is not my first winter where I'm going to wonder if I'm going to have to summit a hip-high drift to get to a bus stop on a major road. This is not my first winter where I'm wondering if I will have to email a professor saying, this winter we have Zoom meetings, so I'll be okay, but this wouldn't be the first winter where I would have to cancel a meeting because I can't even get to that major road because the streets are even worse 2 residential streets over where I live. This is not my first winter where I will be terrified for my friends and their children who need to get to school every day. This will not be anyone's first winter wondering if they're going to be able to make it to a job because they can't escape their house, because they can't get to their bus stop, because they cannot wait at their bus stop without risking getting hit by a car. And that is not okay. It's never been okay, and it's about damn time we fixed it. So I don't really want to talk about the fact that this year I definitely won't be able to summit a snowdrift because when I had slightly better legs, I still couldn't do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. We need a louder megaphone. So, what we're going to do right now is a little collective action, and we're going to flood the email boxes of City Council with a message that we're all going to send together. So whoever is able to take out their phone
I'm going to read a message, and if you want to write the message directly as I read it, that's okay. If you want to make some alterations, put some of your own words in, that's great too. We're all going to do it together, and we're going to show them what power in numbers looks like and send a signal that they can't ignore. So for the subject, you can write mobility justice. And the email address is council@stjohns.ca. That'll go to the whole council. Subject, mobility justice.
Can you repeat the address?
Yes. Council, COUNCIL @stjohns.ca. And the subject, mobility justice. Dear Council, I am writing to you from the Accessibility Vigil concerning the mobility justice crisis in our city. Dear Council, I am writing to you from the Accessibility Vigil concerning the mobility justice crisis in our city. We good?
Read it once more, the second sentence.
Dear Council, I am writing to you from the Accessibility Vigil concerning the mobility justice crisis in our city. Today is International Day of Disabled People, or people with disabilities, whichever way you'd like to say that. Today is International Day of Disabled People, and we are concerned that no action will be taken beyond inclusion lip service. Today is International Day of Disabled People, and we are concerned that no action will be taken beyond inclusion lip service. We good? Got that one? Sweet. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Just shout at me. The status quo is negligent.
Yes.
The status quo is negligent. We call upon you to safeguard the human rights. We call upon you to safeguard the human rights of people with disabilities. Inclusion is not possible without accessibility. Inclusion is not possible without accessibility. We urge you to make the following commitments. We urge you to make the following commitments. 1, clear our sidewalks with the same priority as adjoining streets. 1, clear our sidewalks with the same priority as adjoining streets. 2, use a universal design approach in all further development. 2, use a universal design approach in all further development. Good idea, isn't it, buddy? Yes, I know. Everyone got number 2? 3. Reverse the recent cuts to Metrobus. 3. Reverse the recent cuts to Metrobus. Thank you. And then you can sign your name. And hit send. Oh. I'll read it one more time in full. Yeah. Dear Council, I am writing to you from the Accessibility Vigil concerning the mobility justice crisis in our city. Today is International Day of Disabled People, and we are concerned that no action will be taken beyond inclusion lip service. The status quo is negligent. We call upon you to safeguard the human rights of people with disabilities. Inclusion is not possible without accessibility. We urge you to make the following commitments. 1. Clear our sidewalks with the same priority as adjoining streets. 2. Use a universal design approach in all further development.
Woo!
3. Reverse the recent cuts to Metrobus.
Woo!
Thank you. All of our names. Are we ready to hit send? Woo! Thank you for your patience and for doing that together. We're now going to sing a group song led by our good friend Charlie Body. The lyrics are on one of the sides of your bulletin, and Charlie's going to lead us in a sing-along of What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes. Because can you believe we have to rally for this? Yes, yes, I'll hold it. Yeah. I got my light, my phone here.
Oh yeah, keep putting all that up.
Our streets!
Our streets!
Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets! Our streets!
Let's sing about it. Would anyone like to play the tambourine?
I can do that. They were right there.
And I'll come over here.
Glad you didn't have to. And then are you going to be able to switch to the other stage? Hello. Hello, hello. And you too, dog. I need a full moon. So yeah, I'm Charlie, and a friend of mine and a friend of yours asked me to do this, and she had a different song, but it was by Tracy Chapman, so I was only asked this yesterday. So number one,
Helen on his turn.
no. Everything's secret, as far as you know. So I didn't know that one. I didn't have time to pull it up. Didn't have time to learn it. Not that I couldn't. So this was another suggestion that was approved by the committee. And so I'm a beginner's beginner. Very confident though. And so what I'd like to tell the world and anybody with anything that they think slows them down, don't focus on your limitations. Instead, concentrate and actualize your capabilities. That's my message.
Right on.
Oh, and by the way, this is a sing-along. Everybody has the words, I think, don't they? You're gonna like this verse. And I tried. Oh my God, do I try? All the time. In this institution. And I pray. Oh my God, do I pray? I pray every single day. Revolution. I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, 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 hey.
great big hill of hope. Revelation.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, everyone. And next up, we have another one of our organizers who has a few remarks for you. Deb Jackman. Woo!
No. But yeah.
Here.
Okay, oh my gosh, here we go. I'm going to turn towards the lights so I can see. So I'm Deborah Jackman, and I just want to say hello.
Hello.
I want to begin by thanking you all for being able to come out, but I especially want to recognize and help give voice to the numbers of people not able to make it out because of the many diverse disabilities and the array of challenges that force us inside.
Woo!
I hope sharing part of my story will help to shed some light on part of the issues we face. The second year after the loop opened, I was there trying to get my skating feet back. That's not easy, let me tell you. But I was trying. I left after an anxious practice. I felt good. I didn't fall on the ice. I fell on my way to visit a friend and her 4-year-old son for a hot chocolate on Bond Street. There were no sidewalks. The snow was so high and compacted, you could stand and look down into people's vehicles. It was just getting dark. Military Road was jam-packed with slow-moving traffic. And you could see a driver still texting and talking on their handheld phones and their devices, you know. That's for another time. Pedestrians, like me, had a narrow space to walk. Literally being swept by side mirrors, while this particular story, sorry, I always said that, I think. Yeah, please, yeah, sorry. Does not involve texting and driving. It does play a big role in my added fears of being a pedestrian. So my heart racing while I walk towards Bond Street, every moment consumed with the thought, should I turn back? By the time I reached Rollins Cross on the lights, the traffic still dense, I decided to shortcut down Chapel Street because I thought I was taking the lesser of two evils. After 2 vehicles stopped to let me cross, I started to walk sideways down Chapel. I literally sang to myself to calm myself, I will not fall, I will not fall. I fell. 45 minutes later, laying on the cold, icy street, and much help. From neighbors with blankets keeping me company and calm. The ambulance paramedics showed up on foot. It was too dangerous for the ambulance to drive down the street. After 13 hours in emergency, sitting on a shopping cart-like wheelchair, poor design by the way, by the entrance, freezing cold from the opening and closing of the entrance, the
place was packed. I met 8 people there due to falling on the ice. I'm looking into the latest statistics now. I got to see a doctor, eventually got x-rays, fractured elbow in my right dominant arm, bruises and swelling in different parts of my body. I spent the better half of 3 months going to physio and continue to work on my routines. Well, next one, yeah. Sorry guys, bear with. After I finished with the physio, I continued on my own. After making some calls, 2 kind members from Jerry Rogers NDP team come to my door with food and an electric can opener. I'm going to mention Jerry because the time that I fell, Jerry was actually out on Bond Street shoveling snow for neighbors, and she happened to see the commotion and came up and got some photos and was there with me as well. It helped greatly. Maneuvering the can opener was better than a manual can opener. However, I felt defeated. My life stopped in a way. I could not dress, make my bed, get a shower, and on and on. I retrieved to my bed living on crackers, plain bread, cheese blocks I took bites from, juice I drank from the carton, already prone and dealing with depression. This pushed me deeper in. My anxiety from fear and hopelessness consumed me. To quote Anne Malone when I shared this story, there is the assumption, that we all have a cavalry of people lined up to help us. This is not always the case. Now this is my first appearance back doing what matters to me, right here today.
Woo!
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. What a journey to be standing here. My life shifted and I isolated through fear of going out again. What I did and still do, now with a support worker who sees my struggles, I fear crossing a crosswalk even when I make sure vehicles come to a halt. I jump at loud noises like tires screeching, horns blowing. I do my best to avoid traffic congested areas. These walks are supposed to help me with my chronic pain and mental well-being. You see the irony in that? See, that choice of staying on a congested street with no sidewalks or going down Chapel Street was and should never be a choice at all. I never should have been left to make it. There were no lesser of 2 evils. Our streets we live on are still not safe. That is the problem and the choices City Hall makes. I feel I have to leave in their hands. So I am here, I am scared. I say no to being treated like a second-class citizen. A throwaway. I am not. So to all the people here and for the ones not able to be here, I say we are not dispensable. And I want to do a little chant which Leah came up with that I like because I wanted something about broken bones. It's broken system, broken bones. So we can chant that together and I'll say, keep up the fight and in solidarity, thank you. So broken system, broken bones.
Broken system, broken bones. Broken system, broken bones. Broken system, broken bones. System, broken bones. Broken system, broken bones. Woo! Good job, Dad. All right.
Hello, it's great to be here this evening again with so many people looking for social justice. And I just wanted to say that this evening I'm here
Just
to
a
hold
sec.
space for some of my friends that can't get here.
Oh,
Because
perfect.
they have disabilities, visible and invisible. I have to say that a long time ago, like just 5 years ago, I unfortunately had a little slip on the sidewalk and broke my leg in 3 places and lost my job for 2 years. Shame is right. So, I mean, as a self-employed gig economy artist, this was shit. Believe me, like now I'm older, 5 years older. I want to get out and walk around. I'm afraid. Are you afraid? I bet you are. And I'm tired. We had a huge town hall planned with the co-op to get everybody involved. Get all the ears open. Open your ears. And then we had COVID. Now we're here at this time, and I just have to say to you, after all the talk, we still can't walk, and I personally find this negligent. It's born in a culture of neglect, not care. That's right. So if you're listening, clean your ears, because we're not going anywhere. We're not here.
Thank you, Kelly. We have remarks from one more of our organizers, last but not least, Christoph. And then we'll pass the megaphone around if anyone has any remarks they want to make. And then we'll all close out with a sing-along of Revolution. Thank you for staying in the rain. It's going to get a lot worse.
Thank you, Leah. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Can everyone hear? I think so. So my name is Krista Butt. There we go. And I'm a member of the Social Justice Cooperative. Actually, I don't have a lot of energy, so I'm going to sit down. Hopefully that's okay. Excuse me while I do that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming, as well as kind of point out that to some of our leaders and the people who make the decisions, that there are a lot of people who aren't just in isolation during pandemics. There are people who live in isolation, not even just during the winter, but some people in the summertime, some people their entire lives, because they don't have proper access. Accessibility is vital to get people involved. I myself was a pharmacist. I had a career that I had to leave behind because of my disability, and the difference between my life then and my life now is night and day. Like, it's just undescribable how much disability affects every facet of your life. And it's important to remember and use empathy when you're thinking about these decisions, and think about to a time when, maybe you were inside and you couldn't get out during the pandemic, and you felt isolated, and you felt alone, and you felt like you didn't have any support. And remember that there are people that feel like that every day, all day, and there's no way to escape that. There is no end of disability in sight for them. Just like there's an end of pandemic, but there's nothing like that for us. So try to put yourself in our shoes and just, think about that when you're making your decisions. Try to remain accessible in your meetings and in your groups. Remain, let Zoom be an option even after all of this is over, because there are many people who can't physically go out, but they would love to be involved. And on that note, I would love to thank the Social Justice Cooperative. They've been ultra supportive. I couldn't be happier about my decisions in reaching out to them, and I would encourage anybody who wants to get involved, whether disabled or not. They're such an amazing group. They connect with many, many other groups around Newfoundland and around the city to make a huge, huge difference. We elevate each other's voices. We don't tear each other down. There's radical inclusion, and everybody is welcome at whatever capacity you can give, which is huge for the disabled community. Often there's big shoes to fill, and we feel overwhelmed by the fact that we don't think we can meet the expectations of people. But when those expectations are removed and you're able to contribute what you can when you can, that makes a huge difference. to our self-esteem and to our lives. So thank you to the Social Justice Cooperative, and I encourage everybody to Google them and get involved because you will not regret it. And with that, I think that's it.
We're so glad you found us. Does anybody have anything you want to say before we do our closing song?
A little earlier, I mentioned Joanne McDonald, who is one of the pioneers of the disability rights movement in this province. And there are many other people who worked with Joanne over the decades since she began, whose names I don't know. But I want to speak to those people with respect and to honor them, because we are standing here today truly on the shoulders of giants. And we are continuing what you began, and our gathering here today, the attention that we are getting in the media and among allies in our community would not be possible without your work. So thank you.
Anyone else have anything on their mind?
It's funny every time.
I did plan to speak tonight, but one of the things that I did not hear was basically how these solutions were going to come actually to help people. And when you look at where we are, we're not talking about accessibility in a city. We're not talking about accessibility in a town. We are talking about St. John's, the capital city of our province. And that has not been said tonight. If people can't actually have accessibility within the capital city of our province, how can we expect other towns and cities to step up? And I think that's the point that needs to be made. As a province, we should be proud of our ability to provide accessibility to everybody. And when you talk about public transportation, it's not public if people can't access it. And another thing too is we talk about ramps, the lack of ramps. But you want to know something? As I heard last night, a ramp is not just a ramp. A lot of times a ramp is a job opportunity. A lack of a ramp is a loss of a job opportunity to somebody. And then when you look at snow clearing, if you can't navigate the streets, how can you get to your job? If you can't access the buses, how can you get to your job? And if you can't get to your job, you can't support yourself. If you can't support yourself, you are not independent. So the city of St. John's and the province of Newfoundland and Labrador needs to step up so people can be independent and we can be equal. And it can be called public access, public transportation. Thank you.
Whoops.
I want to thank the organizers. This has been great. Thank you. And I just want to add that to me it's really shocking what this city is doing. We talk about, I'm a prof in community health and medicine, and we talk about healthy cities and how can we have healthy cities when people are excluded and where we don't have the accessibility that's needed in a healthy city. We teach our med students about the social determinants of health, which are income, social support, environmental support, gender, etc. But the big thing is housing and public transportation. So to me it's shocking. I'm very privileged
I am, even though I'm not from here, I've lived here long enough, I'm allowed to criticize. It's okay. I think it's contributed to the city and the province. But I just want to say this is such a retrograde place. I mean, and it's also the culture, like the public transportation. I've heard people say, why do you take the bus? I mean, that's for the poor and you have money. You know? And I'm like, yeah, but in other cities, everybody takes the bus.
You're here.
Or the streetcar, or whatever. So, I think it's very retrograde as a city. And as you said, how can we then lead by example when we don't? And of course, the bus will only get worse if they don't reverse their decision, because public transportation will be even less possible and affordable. So I think it affects all the most marginalized people, but it also affects all of us and all our quality of life as people who, for instance, choose to walk and live in this city. So thank you for all the organizers very much.
That's okay. You go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, push the button. All right. I want to say thank you. This is very eye-opening, and last night I was at Green New Drinks with my dear friend, and I learned something very important. I learned that there's a new way of doing things, and it's called ATP, and that is Ask the People. And then the other part of that is LTP, Listen to the People. So I want to let everybody here know today that you have 3 provincial politicians here, and we are listening to the people. Yes. Woo! Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. You've got new activists. We are on your side. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to quickly add something that the woman there was saying about, buses. And when that bus strike happened, the statistics back then were that 10,000 people took the bus per day. And this idea of looking at the bus as a dismal, a bad thing, what are you taking the bus? Where does that come from? Why don't, we need to have way more cars off the road. If you had it more accessible. And I just have to make that point as somebody who's nervous about walking and seeing the big increase in transportation, vehicles on the road. And somebody mentioned some statistics at a meeting about how many, one driver in a car, kind of deal. And there's just, I just wanted to get that point out there because I know it's, this can be an accessible city. It's possible, it can happen. It's just, it falls on deaf ears, but we got to keep asking. Absolutely.
I think we have to call it here and sing ourselves out. Thank you all for coming. If anyone has anything they didn't get to say, the conversation's not over. We're going to be continuing it on social media and in the media and on open line. So make sure your voice is heard, and we'll do our best to amplify. Kyle is gonna come up and lead us in a sing-along of talking about a revolution. So I don't know if your papers are too wet, but let's hope he's maintaining some structural integrity. So anyone who would like to kind of help lead is welcome to approach this direction.
I don't want to lead, I just want to get a good...
Ready? Thank you all for coming. Let's sing.
Don't you know talking about a revolution.
Don't you know we're talking about a revolution? Sound. Standing in welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know we're talking about a revolution? Sound like a whisper. More people gonna rise up and get their share. More people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Oh, you know you better run, 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 run. Finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about revolution, oh. Finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution, oh no. Talking about a revolution, oh. Standing in the welfare line, right at doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know we're talking about a revolution? It sounds like a whisper. It's not. Don't you know we're talking about a revolution? It sounds like a whisper, but it's not. Finally the tables start to turn. Talking about a revolution. Finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution, oh. Talking about a revolution, oh no. Everybody, talking about a revolution, oh no. Yeah, oh yeah. Talking about a revolution, oh no. We rehearsed that today here. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, everybody. We are unstoppable. A better city is possible.
Thank you, everybody.